Okay, we left off in the middle of, we're on page 170, the middle of the second paragraph. Im ba'avur Elohio kol habrios b'dmus achas u'tmuna achas. V'adin nosi ba'avur zeh hishtanu simoni ha'chochma b'bruim. See, it's interesting. I mean, the whole idea of paganism. What do they call it? Polytheism. Because if you have, let's say, forget about the animal kingdom. You have the god of fertility. That's the human species. Then you have the god of the winds, the sun. Because each one being at a certain dimension, they couldn't believe that it was one power, which everything manifests itself from one source. So if you have a creation, let's say the animal, and each species is different than the other, a different temperament, a different everything. So you'd say, what would that say? It would say that maybe there are multiple gods also. But what was he saying? That tells us that God is not bound. God is multifaceted, and he's not limited. There's no limitation to God. God chooses to do anything he wishes to do. If everything is always identically the same, evidently you'd say he can't get out of the groove. You know, he's stuck in a groove. But there's no such thing as God being stuck, because you see there's so many levels of ability. So you see he's multifaceted on an infinite level. So you see he does whatever he wants to do. Therefore you see variations of his wisdom in creation. And it's something which is unfathomable. It's something we can't even grasp. He says, this is one of the aspects we don't grasp. There are many things we don't grasp. He says, consummate wisdom belongs only to God. I mean, here we're talking about the multiple representation of his wisdom. What about even within the species itself, within the cell, the level of genius that it's unfathomable even within that, right? I know, I'm saying, he says, that's unfathomable. This is one aspect of what's not fathomable. I'm saying we don't even have to look at the different species. What within the species? One detail of the species. The more you understand it, you understand it's beyond your grasp. So again, that says, but again, it wouldn't be sufficient. Because you'd say, well, he's limited to that. But when you have multiple species in terms of ourselves, we see that he's multifaceted, and from that we see God does as he chooses to do. Yeah, but it's basically just, that could be, it's like a person is a craftsman. No. There is a slight variation. Because you can't do it better. It's not perfect. Because if you would do it perfectly, everything you would create would be identical to the other. You would attribute it to lack of perfection. So that the human beings look different, Okay. You can't work it out that you all look the same. But we're talking about different temperaments, different representations, right? The lion is not the mouse, right?
The secular society turns it on its head. It says you're 3 chromosomes away from a monkey, as though that variation is,
Is that what is that what they say down under?
That's what they say.
Okay. Okay. What do they call it? The Tasmanian devil. That and a deer. Okay, so there's no commonality between the two of them. It's interesting. I said, one time, my first year in New York, so every week I would travel, between New York and Baltimore on the Amtrak. So every week I had another experience with somebody sitting next to me. We get into conversations, whether it was a Jew or a non-Jew. And so I was sitting next to a person, he was going to getting off one of the stops in Philadelphia. And we get on in Penn Station together, speaking, and I say to him, I speak just part of my, the way I express myself. I say, God is all merciful. He says, what do you mean God's all merciful? He says, do you know my parents? Their families were killed in the Holocaust. It's only the two of them, and therefore we observe nothing as Jews except for the Seder. Of course, it's a time for the family to get together. That's what he says to me. So I said to him, that's a digression, distraction. Okay. So I said to him, I want to ask you a question. Do you believe in God? He says, yes. I said, do you believe God created the world? Yes. Do you believe God created Americans? This story goes back 30 years ago. Do you believe God created Americans? He says, yes. Do you think this is America 30 years ago, not today? Do you believe Americans are ethical, moral, kind, giving, and charitable? Definitely. So I said, so you believe that God created people that are ethical, moral, kind, sensitive, and giving? I said, but if you tell me this God is cruel beyond your imagination of what cruelty is, and that's why your family perished in the Holocaust, so why did he create such kind, ethical, nice people and giving people? Seems to be a little incongruous in terms of your understanding of God. He says, you got a good question. It's a good question. So I said, so what's the answer? The answer is we don't understand. You don't understand, because otherwise it's totally contradictory. But again, it's the multifaceted. God is not locked into anything. God decides at every moment how to deal with existence for whatever reason. Like a judge, he always gives very strict rulings. Now, you wouldn't want to come before that judge. That judge is really not a proper judge. Within the context of Sanhedrin, if that is the nature of that judge, then he's disqualified. That's what the Mishnah says in Sanhedrin. If a judge has no children, he's not qualified to sit on the Sanhedrin. Because he never developed compassion, because he never had children. If a judge gets too old and he doesn't have patience any longer, again, he's disqualified. He can't sit on the Sanhedrin. Because to be impartial and to have all the natural senses that you need to give that person the best chance, he doesn't have it. Therefore, he's disqualified. So there's no such thing. You wouldn't want to come before that judge. That's within secular law, not within Torah law. The Sanhedrin, they would decide. There would be a committee. They'd say, look, it's time. Okay, you're going to retirement. Or regardless how great you are, you don't qualify for the court to sit on the Sanhedrin. To be continued.